on Visible, really awesome pitch. I'm a wholesale guy, so having a fully digital MVNO out there, spot on. I don't know if you're really the first 100% eSIM, because TRUPHONE is an MVNO, and we've been shipping 100% eSIMs for many, many years. But we're not a domestic consumer brand, so probably at a different scale. Yes, I'm Kim. I run software and wholesale at TRUPHONE. Maybe also a bit different than the speakers before. We are an eSIM platform provider, but we don't call it eSIM platform. We call it software, because we don't do plastic. I think that's the big differentiation here. What I want to talk about today is how eSIM is actually revolutionizing and democratizing digital connectivity, because we all know that whatever can be digital will be digital, and the plastic SIM card will disappear. And it's not a question of when, a question of if, it's a question of when. And for TRUPHONE, we have made that decision. We went from eSIM first to eSIM only, and any card or any profile we ship is an eSIM. And even if a customer demands a plastic, that plastic is an eSIM. So that's very important. And we're a bit different than the rest out there. And I don't want to do a sales pitch here, but kind of really explain where we're coming from, because we are a full MVNO in 9 countries, from the US to Australia. We run our own core networks. We run our own interconnects, and we have over 400 direct roaming relationships globally. We have telco licenses in 43 countries where we provide services on a regulatory basis. And as a multinational operator, or MVNO, we were sick and tired of shipping around plastic cards to our corporate customers. You have 1,000 seats in the US, you have 500 seats in the UK, you have 20 seats in Spain, and we thought there should be a better way, and we delivered our own eSIM stack very, very early on. So it was like 2017 when we started, 2018 we were there. But because we are an operator, we know exactly how it feels to go from plastic to digital. And then we decided, okay, we do it for ourselves, why don't we offer that capability in an open, modular way to the world? And of course, operators are customers of us, but also OEMs are customers of us. Our biggest single customer is Apple, who uses our bootstrap connectivity in their Apple iPads for every cellular iPad that is distributed outside of the US. So being modular, understanding how OSS, BSS, and those things work, and will really help us going forward. And we talked about the change. Last year we were here, I think it was the first week after the Russian invasion in the Ukraine, and we were all a bit in shock. But what we've seen also here, the benefit of eSIM in that very difficult year for all of us, is just so powerful. We have a customer in the Ukraine who is shipping out eSIMs like crazy because they don't have physical stores anymore. There is no infrastructure, physical store infrastructure anymore, and they go all eSIM, and it's actually working, and we're really proud to be part of that. Of course, we talked about the iPhone, and we always said in TRUPHONE, the pivot point for the industry will be the first eSIM-only mass market customer device. And that has happened. It's not global yet, it's just in the US. Let's see how this rolls out, but that has really brought things forward. And you see the market adapt. You've seen, maybe you saw the announcement of Vodafone Global Roaming Services have introduced eSIM as a product feature for them. So also carriers, large carriers that have relied on roaming revenues and plastic lock-ins for many, many years are starting to embrace eSIM. And even if Visible, Verizon is enabling you guys, giving you an eSIM product for you to distribute with your partner. So that's a clear indication that the world is changing. We think it's changing a bit too slow. But all in all, this is really good. And then TRUPHONE, as an operator, and that's a partner of ours, Lotus Flare, Nomad app. We're using eSIM for others to resell our stuff via apps. We do it in our own app, but it's all about channel play and access to customers. And therefore, eSIM gives you also a great opportunity to go multi-channel, digital channel, and so on. We talked about sustainability. The funny thing is with the other presenters mainly coming from the plastic sector, moving into digital. Nobody talked about the CO2 footprint of a plastic card. It's 60 times higher than an eSIM. So also that is something, if you migrate, you go digital, you also reduce your carbon footprint. And we have a sustainability report, which can be found at our booth in Hall 7, just outside here. There's a QR code, you can scan it, and it has all that data in there. And yeah, I think we all agree, sustainable brands are great. Operators want to be sustainable, need to be sustainable also to attract investment. Investors are looking at sustainable companies to invest in. So that's really a driver here. And as said, there are a lot of Scrooges in here, in this room, on this conference, who really, really like the plastic because it gives you lock-in. Customers can switch. That's good. They cannot take alternatives. In the IoT world, you need to do a truck roll that costs you $300 to exchange a SIM. So you don't really want to offer that. I think also the plastic SIM manufacturers are happy with still selling a lot of plastic SIMs. And I think this industry is holding back. We always talk about eSIM and how we enable this, but this industry is also holding back that development because it's new. You need to adapt your OSS, BSS process, and it's a complete digital transformation that the operators and OEMs and brands need to go through in order to do this. But we can be so different if we really embrace that digital channel. And if you just look at, these are all buzzwords, and we heard about them today, connectivity and eSIM provisioning and entitlement service and all that good stuff. These are just elements, but as a player in this market, you need to be able to modularly connect the dots here. And if we just go through this, we talk eSIM and base connectivity. We call it bootstraps, and when you have a device and it just fires up in order to download the final profile. That's a combination that you as an operator need to enable. So you need to take your profile, your bootstrap profile, onto your eSIM, and you distribute it out to eSIM-only devices, be it in IoT, be it in consumer. That's kind of the combination you see, and us being an operator and an eSIM provider, for us that's a clear business model, and we've done this for years. But we also enable the operator community to do that based on our eSIM stack. We actually, if you want to, you can get our bootstrap profile as well. But it's all about connecting the dots and enabling new business opportunities. Then one of the things we're a bit proud of, because we worked with Apple early on in 2018 and have been a partner ever since, TRUPHONE today is still the only MVNO out there who has an Apple Watch and Apple Family setup. And we're still the only provider, I think, in the Netherlands, I think in Australia, who provide Apple Family setup, which means an Apple Watch that is a standalone device without the need to pair it with a phone. So something you can give your kids, or you can give your grandparents to be connected without the need of a phone. But for that, you need to have the connectivity element, you have to have the SIM provisioning element. The eSIM is already in the device, so you don't need that anymore. But you also need the orchestration layer in order to tell the device you're a single device and you're not paired to a phone. So also that very important, and that is really fueling this digital transformation. We call it or somebody said, digital revolution. And that's really about getting the elements in place, getting them in motion, and enabling that for the customer. And then we talked about eSIM, which is also, it's an eSIM on a chip. Woo, it doesn't sound too exciting, but really you need to have a chip guy, and the chip guy needs to have an eSIM partner or an eSIM platform partner, and then combines that. And that is very, very important, and you need to find somebody who helps you in that orchestration of all these elements around the device and around the eSIM. And I don't think that we can do it ourselves, or anybody of you can do it by themselves. So it's about partnering, about enablement, and about letting go of the used ways of doing business and being a bit more open and start sharing APIs, interfaces, and so on. That's the little slide we had already last year here when we talked about the inconvenient truth in the room. And we believe that there has to be a mindset shift towards that bull mentality where you say you have eSIM, you embrace it, but you really want to make it work. Like Visible, you guys, I think it's a great example. You have the tools, you have the technology, and then you really capitalize on it. And there are so many operators, players out there, like the grumpy goat. You're an incumbent, top-rated operator, and you do eSIM, but you really don't do eSIM because you just give an eSIM to somebody if they really ask for it. But your processes are not eSIM ready. Your mentality is not eSIM ready, and therefore, you have it, but it's not scaling. And that's why we all say, well, we're still at the early start of the journey. We all say, well, it's gonna take up. It will, as said, it will. There is no alternative to digital, but there's a lot of operators that's still holding back. And then, of course, there are the operators that don't want to see it anymore, like the ostrich. But that was last year. I think the iPhone changed that a bit. So at least they got the head out of the ground. I'm not if they're running yet or implementing, but at least they're looking. And then the good old magpie that just plays with the shiny new stuff, but never really executes on anything. So I think this industry needs a bull mentality, and I'm just glad that Yolanda and Gloria are also helping us to push this, and you're doing a great job there. And I think we as TRUPHONE have always embraced that early on. This is just one kind of product thing from my side. We have now positioned our eSIM platform as a launchpad idea around, self-development tools, faster deployment, more self-service. So when you're a customer of our product, we want you to do all these things. We want you to do the profile creation. We want you to do the profile testing, because at the end of the day, we don't believe in the old processes where you give us a profile, we do it, we give it back to you, you test it, it doesn't work, you give it back to us, and it takes 3 months. This is digital, so your testers can go in, create the profile, download the profile on a device within minutes or seconds, it's immediate. Test it, does it work? Yes, great, put it into production. If it doesn't work, test it again, and then this entire BAP process, and I think many of you from the industry will know the pain of having a BAP process, which takes months and months and costs tons of money. This is just acceleration due to digital, and we just really need to embrace this, and we are all for this. So, more tools to you, more self-service, and less waiting on your supplier to help you with this. If you want help, we can of course give you that, but it's all about acceleration of this. And then one thing that is really interesting, and I'm just so glad that we finished it before the Mobile World Congress. There's this new standard coming up, and we talk about consumer, we talk about M2M. There's a new standard coming up, which is called SGP31, and I don't know. Think of a better name, please. Let's think of a better name. But what it actually is, it is the consumer standard, which we all love and use, which is you can send an eSIM to any device that is eSIM capable. On the M2M world, you had to do a lot of pre-production before you could do this. This new standard, the SGP31, will actually introduce new piece of software where you can send a consumer profile to an IoT device without the need of the customer to accepting it. I think that's the very important thing here. And that also enables operators, but also device manufacturers to take control of the connectivity on their device. Because there's a little element called an eIM, which is a piece of software that can sit on the device. And whoever controls that eIM will control the access to the device and the connectivity that can be brought on there. Which means if you are a scooter company running scooters in Spain and you're on Vodafone for 2 years, you own that eIM, you can go to Masmobile when your contract's over and say, well, I would like to switch my fleet. And you can do this via the RSP and the eIM without needing to do complicated things on the eSIM chip itself. You just send it over the air and download it. And I think that's the vision we always had from the beginning, but the M2M standard was a bit complex because of security and demand, and it was mainly driven by the automotive sector. But this new standard is really, really accelerating that. It's also a power shift from the operators to the service providers, to the users, to the device manufacturers. And I think going forward, RSP platforms will not only be for those who run their own network, but it will expand also into those service providers of connected devices without user interfaces. So that's a huge thing. We have a working demo out there. We're in hall 7, so right through the door and on the left-hand side. We actually tried to use an Orange Spain QR code and send it to our Quectel module with an EIM from us on there. But we were disconnected from Orange because the match between the profile and the EID of the device or the EMI of the device didn't match, so that didn't allow the download. But it works, and being disconnected from a network because you're doing something that is not intended is probably the best proof that it's actually working. So yeah, so that's a huge new standard, and we're really proud to be associated with that and have helped also on the standardization. So just summing it up, it is democratizing connectivity, digital connectivity for everybody, and whoever will own this EIM in the future will be in control. It also shifts the power to the consumer, away from the operator, away from the plastic, into a digital solution. And we call it the invisible revolution because at the end of the day, this will be so disruptive for the telco industry and the mobile industry. We believe that if you are not on the bandwagon yet, you should hop on as soon as possible. And it's not about be our customer or be a Thales customer or DME customer. Just get going, start that digital transformation within your companies. If you're a device manufacturer, start that digital transformation in your device connectivity onboarding. If you're an IoT player, think about eSIM because that is definitely the future, and we heard Core speak about that. And it's all about choosing freedom. You want to be in control at any point in time, and eSIM and remote SIM provisioning and entitlement services give you that opportunity. And yeah, speak to us, speak to any of our competitors out there. I think it's really something you need to embrace. And if you take anything out of this room, is start thinking about it if you're not already implemented. And if you have implemented, think about how you can expand that. And I think, again, Visible, great example. Core, great example. Just look at the use cases out there. And with that, I end, and I hope you're still awake. And Gloria?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. So thank you, Kim, and thanks, everyone. With that, we've come to the end of this year's eSIM Summit. We hope you enjoyed it. A couple of reminders for you. We have all of our sponsors and speakers and panelists still around. There is a networking area outside you can go. If you have any comments or questions, you can check with them. Second reminder, we will have all of these presentations and this video ready in a week or so you can download the individual presentations and watch again on demand wherever you're interested in checking again. With that, I just wanted to end with a special thanks to all of our sponsors, Core, IDEMIA, Thales, and TRUPHONE, of course. I hope you enjoy the eSIM Summit, and see you next year for more and better. Thank you very much.